attrition has taken its toll in the Tour de France. 18 riders abandoned the race on stage 14. And going into stage 15, the world champion Lance Armstrong has decided not to start the stage, which covers 231 kilometres and includes the infamous climb of the Mont Ventoux. It was on the Ventoux in 1967 that in searing heat Tom Simpson collapsed and died. Miguel Indurain leading that much reduced group of riders, but they're the ones that matter. Behind him Armand de las Cuevas, then it's Veronk, then Conti, and at the back Pasqualina. But up in front still, Pantani here with Luc Leblanc, the crowd thickening the further up the slope we go. And urging on these two riders, the man in the lead at the moment, Polly, let's see what the gap is. It was 25 minutes at one time, he's now back to 10 minutes and 58 seconds. They've halved, more than halved the deficit in this ride up the 21 kilometres up the Ventoux. The gap has come down considerably, and Polly is really struggling. These mountain goats are in their element right now.
As Pantani seems to be riding away from Luc Leblanc. We saw earlier on that Luc Leblanc was having some difficulty in holding the wheel of Pantani, but he must have run himself down a bit too much maybe, and he's being dropped now. As you can see just up ahead of us, you can see the wide open space now of Mont Ventoux. So you can understand, you can realise that there's nothing here at all to help you. There's no shade at all. The heat is coming up off the road onto your face. The sun is coming down from the sky down to the back of your neck and making you go through some terrible torture.
Well, Russell Mockridge rode up this big climb in 1955 on his 27th birthday. Russell Mockridge was a trackman who took to riding on the road, and on this climb up here he wrote in his book My World of Wheels how he felt. He said that barren desert of summit glowed as though an inferno was raging inwardly. Temperature well past the century and tar bubbles are popping in the road like jam in a preserving pan. He went on to write about how he attempted further down the slope to go to a farm to get some water and to eat sugar to get his strength back, and then how he climbed up the climb, icy water being given by the spectators to try and get him to recover. As he went up there, he went past Jean Malajac, slumped on the side of the road, who'd been zigzagging crazily near the summit, and Dr. Juma had to go to him and provide oxygen to bring Jean Malajac back. Other riders were collapsing all over the place. That was the other. Charlie Gall was in trouble. Ferdy Kubler was in trouble. Ferdy Kubler, in fact, down the other side of the climb, he collapsed less than a mile from the finishing banner in Avignon. It took him 20 minutes to recover. That's the damage you can get on the Ventoux. The searing heat, the merciless heat. There's no shelter up here whatsoever. It is the big climb that Tom Simpson in 1967, riding himself to a standstill, trying to get the yellow jersey. Simpson had it once in his career. He always wanted to win the Tour de France. He put the hammer down on Ventoux and paid for it with his life on stage 13 in 100 degrees of intense heat. We should be going past further up this climb, the monument to the great Tom Simpson. I had a look at it myself earlier on today. The much revered Tom Simpson is much missed. How he would have been great being here with us in the commentary point, but up there somewhere he's watching the battle now as the riders go up this climb, first used in 1951, the battleground, an epic climb, Mont Ventoux, and here Indurain with de las Cuevas behind him, Veronk in the polka dot jersey, and Conti for company. Up in front, Pantani has got rid of Luc Leblanc. The battle is really on.
Well, it's a great performance again, a great demonstration once again by Miguel Indurain. You can like it's difficult with it. You'll see Indurain riding on the bike there. You reckon it was more or less a semi-flat road that he was driving on, but it was actually a very steep road. And if my memory is correct, the final part of the climb goes up about an average of 7.6%. So it's not by no means a flat road. So, but you can, Miguel looks to be just turning those pedals around as if it was no trouble at all. But the sheer speed, though, is making the lads even maybe it can harder for the lads behind him to hold on to him. But it's a great demonstration once again here by Miguel Indurain.
And the man with the Franz Marsten sign on his van still, I don't think he's read in the press that he's retired from the race, but probably just sort of waving the banner for him. Now, Luc Leblanc, who went away in the lower slopes, now being reeled in by Indurain. Pantani has gone away, so now Luc Leblanc has got to dig deep and hang on to this little train when it comes through. So still then, as far as Festina are concerned, Luc Leblanc providing the stepping stone for Veronk, who hasn't been able to come across him. At least the two will be together now. And de las Cuevas following Miguel Indurain up here. You don't see much attacking from from De Las Cuevas. He's another rider who rides very much in the shadow of Indurain at the front.
Well, I think Dave, that the speed is going. I don't think anybody could attack him. So he's kind of attacking the whole lot, I think. But as we see his team manager coming along here, giving him some orders, from just letting him know the situation, where Pantani is in the race, where he is up ahead of him, and kind of what's happened behind, and how, because Miguel is in the front of the group now for the last 3 or 4 kilometres. He doesn't know how De La Cuevas is feeling or how Viranca is feeling, whereas José Chavarri, the director sportif of the Valletta team, would be seeing the reaction of De La Cuevas and the reaction of Viranca, and he was saying, okay, Viranca looks a bit doesn't look very steady, he's wobbling a little bit, or because they know each other, so he'll be giving all that kind of information to Mikel, and Mikel then will judge himself as fit to accelerate and try and drop them, or just as okay, ride along and keep them.
Well, Pantani was looking to his left. The course sort of turns back on itself. You can look over the side down to see the riders coming up. And the same thing if Miguel Indurain looks a little bit up in front. In fact, he can just turn his head slight to left. He'll see where the leader is, Polly, way up in the distance. But the man he's more interested in is Pantani. Indurain here at work. This man, very much like a machine, sitting here coolly. He seems to be riding at the moment within himself. He wasn't gasping like he was up Lourdes Hautacam when he buried himself up there. So Big Indurain looking quite good.
Going up to Hautacam, it was the last hill, so he had to really bury himself, whereas he knows when he gets to the top here, he still needs some energy to go to the finish, because there are some 35 kilometres down to the finish from the top, so he must keep some more for the top. So the difference between the other day and today is the fact that the other day he was the finish on the top, so the stopwatch stopped when he arrived, whereas today there's no real need to do it, because there's still a very long descent down into Carpentras.
And there is a memorial to Tom Simpson. This is a point less than a mile from the summit where Tom insisted they put him back on his bike. Harry Hall, the mechanic, lifted him up, but he fell off again. Poor Tom was helicoptered to the hospital, but was pronounced dead on arrival. That is the shrine to so many British racing cyclists, and now these riders ploughing their way up this Ventoux, the extinct volcano that's seen so many riders suffer over the years. At the moment, this little group here includes the yellow jersey. Just up in front of them is Polly, then Pantani, and then this group here with De Las Cuevas now moving in front of Indurain. We haven't seen that much in the past. Leblanc is still in there in the blue jersey behind him. Then Conti in the pink and blue, the polka dot jersey of Viranca, and just behind them then is Pascal Lino. So a tremendous battle going on here in full flight then, as far as the yellow jersey is concerned. He's got still Pantani. You can see up there, that at the top of the climb, that's the observatory sitting up on the skyline. They've still got a long way to go, and they haven't yet reached Tom Simpson's memorial, this little lot here. It was less than a mile from the finish, and I went up there today, I looked and I could see the top, and I thought, Tom, if only you could have gone that last mile, and down the other side, perhaps he'd have recovered, but it was not to be. He paid for it with his life, but what a character he was. Know that the new Tom really enjoyed his company, and today Helen, his wife, has been up to the monument to pay her respects to Tom, and nice to have her on the race. Of course, she's now married to Barry Hoban. Yes, Stephen.
Viranca has just come along to the front again. I think he must not be feeling great, because if he was, he would have counter-attacked the minute that Luc de Blanc was caught. So Indurain seems to be going to have eased off a little bit. Maybe Chavarri, his director sportif, said to him, listen, Pantani is a minute or so ahead. Don't worry, you get him back on the descent or whatever, or you can afford to have a minute ahead. But don't ride too hard, because if you get him back in a counter-attack by De Las Cuevas or by Leblanc or by Viranca, you'd have no reserves left to answer him. So we see Viranca riding on the front like he's riding for a second place, of course.
Well, there are 3 Festina riders here. They can't really take it in turn to attack, because the speed at which they're travelling at the moment seems to be so intense that hardly anybody can get away from this one. Pantani it was that slipped the net further down when the pace was not quite so hard, and so...
sorry, David, cut you a second. We see the bottle come out the window here from the car.
Yep.
Viranca is intelligent enough here to say no, because if Viranca takes the bottle, even if he's dying of thirst, if he takes the bottle, he can be penalised time and also points, and maybe even put it out of the race. So even though it's very warm in the day, he must also always abide by the rules. And if Rankin put his hand on the car that time to take a bottle, he would have been disqualified or got a minimum time penalty.
Would it pay him? Yeah, would it pay him though to get Lino get the bottle and could come up to you and do that?
It would. That's sometimes what they do. They would do that sometimes. But the problem is nobody knows today or at this moment what the penalty can be. If it's only 5 seconds or 10 seconds, it's okay. But if you put out of the race, you know, that'd be very bad for a team, very bad image as well. So it's amazing, like every team at the end of the night to get the GC sheets in, and they're so happy when they see that they have no penalties on the day, and it's very important. It's very, for the prestige of the team, it's very important, and the ego of the team as well.
Well, I think I'm going to get penalised today. I parked my car in a bad place, having difficulty coming through the finish. They sent me around again, thinking I was going around again. I wasn't, and the 57-second lead here then from Pantani to the Mayo Jones. Still Polly in the lead, so I think I'm going to get a warning today. They might dock me 10 minutes.
It is, but it's unfortunate that Virenque is riding here. He should let Indurain ride his eyeballs out, and when he's dead, attack him maybe, you know. I know it sounds a bit cruel, but the only way they're going to beat it, like, it's obvious here that Indurain, it's possible to beat him. But like if they all keep riding for second and third place and fourth place, nobody's going to beat them.
No, because with three men here, if they started jumping from one side to the other, even just for maybe 20 yards.
Well, Lino is too far down, so Miguel won't go after Lino. Has to be either LeBlanc or Virenque. So if one of them was to go, with riding in the front doesn't do anything at all for the race.
Well, Polly hauling his great frame, this 6 foot 3.5 inch monster of a man from the Mercatone Uno team, who went away after 60 kilometres had been covered. Then he gets to the top of this big climb of the Mont Ventoux. He will have covered 190 kilometres, so that's 130 kilometres in the lead. What a revelation then if he gets maximum points in the King of the Mountains climb going over here. Polly, I don't think ever in his life would have gone over a Hope category climb in first place. Let's hope he hangs on, because that is where the top of the climb is. You can see that observatory on top. There's a radar station as well up here. The great moonscape, it looks like something from out of Jules Verne fiction if you get a top shot from the helicopter. It's an unbelievable mountain, and Polly is going to come up over the top of an all category climb. Probably the first time in his career to be first man over the top, and being a big fella too, he's just got a bit of strength left going down the other side. It's 25 miles to finish, and most of it's downhill. Come on, man, come on, come on. He's still training, straining. Turn right. Oh, he's on the steep part of the climb. His legs are virtually seizing up as Polly comes up to take the King of the Mountains prize at the top. He's absolutely burying himself now. He can hardly believe it, I'm sure. Look at the state he's in, Stephen. He's really suffering here, isn't he?
Like, he's done 21 kilometres now climbing up alone, plus 130 kilometres before he got to the climb. It's intensive. He's very, very hot here. And now here he is coming to the top of the hill. He knows himself in his own mind that the finish is not far away. If he can get over the top, he goes straight down to the finish. He'll not be needing so much energy now to the end.
Heaving a great sigh of relief, Eros Polly, who's been swept up at least a couple of times in this race. He's over the top of that observatory you can see in the distance. Here Pantani is the second man on the road. Give you some idea of the gap. The clock's been running for him, so I should think at the moment it's probably going to be still around about 5 or 6 minutes at the top. The last time check we had, it was 6:30 to Pantani, 7:35 to Indurain's group, with that minute separating this man here. Well, if he could have got up to Polly, the two of them could have worked together on descent. But one thing that Pantani is not, that he's not a very good descender. I remember watching him in the Tour of Italy going over the top of the climb, but by the time it came to going down the other side, he was swiftly swept up by the fast-moving men who can drop like stones. Virenque now putting the pressure on Indurain. Behind him, De Las Cuevas, and then is Luc Leblanc. Out of the frame at the moment was the man who started in 7th place today, Bjorn Ries. Thomas Davis way down the back, so Pietro Hugamov. So we're really looking then at the top 4 men here battling it out. Indurain leading on general classification, 7:56 up on Virenque here. De Las Cuevas just behind him, 8 minutes and 2 seconds. Then Luc Leblanc at 4th place, 8:35. Pascal Lino a bit further down. Lino's in 17th spot, 18 minutes and 16 seconds down. And Conti, I'll try and find him for you at the moment. Conti is 16th overall, 18:12. So we've got some of the top men here in the race, but they can't crack Indurain. Only Pantani's managed to get away from him.
Well, this stage will bring Pascalino up into the first 10 or almost. That'll give the Festina riders 4 riders in the Festina team, 4 riders, and 3 or 4 riders in the first 10, which will be which has been an incredible achievement for a team that in the start of the year had so much financial and other kinds of problems. But still, I am very much in disagreement with the tactics from behind, because it's strictly riding for second place, and like you don't ride for second place. Like when he's riding on his own in the group, I'd say, well, okay, ride for second place, maybe again. But he has Luc Leblanc there, who's fifth, so he has a fifth place rider. He's second in overall, and here he is helping Indurain to chase down Pontani. You know, there's no way, like if he let Indurain ride as hard as he can after Pontani and tagged him with a kilometre to go over the top and went down the top, down the hill, then after Pontani, he might do some good. But using this kind of a tactic, riding on the front with Indurain in your wheel, it's just tactics that, you know, those kind of tactics are never in my book.
Well, particularly when they've got Luc Leblanc and they can let Pantani go. Perhaps they're more concerned about Pantani coming up to them, because it is this little battle for second place. Pantani at the moment 11.55 down, Veronk 7.56, so there's about 4 minutes separated. Perhaps they're more concerned in keeping Pantani at bay.
Well, they are, but at the same time, like let Indurain ride. Like it's not like if they there's two of them there, second place, fifth place rider. Pantani is behind them, of course, but he has to catch them first. But if they leave Indurain ride in the front and then attack him to maybe even go for first place, so they hold the second place and the fifth place. But by riding this way, they're riding into Indurain's arms, and they never get a first place.
Lino's got blasted out the back now, so that just leaves Veronk on the front here. Still De Las Cuevas behind. Then Indurain and Conti behind him. De Las Cuevas almost permanently hidden behind one of the other riders. In fact, some years ago, when Merckx dominated the race and a certain other rider always finished behind him, always rode in behind him, the journalists had a little joke when, who is the man that finishes the race without any suntan on? The man who's always in Merckx's shadow, because this particular rider, who shall be named, has never left Merckx's back wheel. But this man is always prepared to attack. One thing about Pantani, he's thrown the gauntlet down. I like this sort of tactic. Also, we're looking forward perhaps to Berzin riding the Tour de France next year. Rumours are flying round in the Tour camp that he's been offered 8 million French francs to ride for Festina, which seems absolutely out of this world. That's £1 million. It may be just paper talk, but if that happens, that's just going to be put the Festina team with so many star riders in, they won't have anybody to work for them.
Well, the money problem is something else, but you always get an awful lot of facts and figures thrown around, like, and it's not really fair, because there's no real truth in some of them. Like, it's not fair to the normal person talking about those kind of sums and figures and everything else, because some of them are unreal. But I just hope here, looking at Pontani, that he hasn't gone too early again, because with the likes of Indurain and Veronk being incredible, the descenders, they would pull back a minute very easily on Pontani going down the descent, which means that Pontani will have done it once again for nothing. Also, Lino, I'd say, will get back on the descent again if he isn't already back on, because Lino is also a very good descender.
So the gap then, 4 minutes 31 seconds since Poli went over the top to Pantani, the career rider, the Italian, dancing his way up the climb, leaving this little group behind to be headed by Veronk, and then Lino is back, fought his way back up again, so the pace might have just eased a little going towards the top of the climb. Indurain is a very, very good descender indeed, so it might just be a matter now of this group swanning off down the other side, and some riders doing all they can to try and regroup and get back on song, particularly those who missed this vital break. Those riders, Vladimir Pulinikov, Bjorn Ries and Thomas Davy and Pyotr Ugumov, who are now further down the mountainside and in danger of slipping further down the general classification.
Here's Luc Leblanc now coming on the front, like, instead of attacking, like, you know, this must be modern tactics. I know I feel like an outfit, maybe going over the hill maybe, but still it's anybody looking at it from home, I'm sure would realise what I'm saying and realise that I'm not totally wrong.
Coming up then to third place over the top of the climb, Veronk wants some extra points, the king of the mountains. De Las Cuevas starts to force his way through, but Veronk's going to get third place and useful pointless points in the king of the mountains. Then Leblanc, then De Las Cuevas, then Leblanc, then Indurain and Conti at the back. Indurain stuffing papers up his front, or getting his anorak out on the descent, this long sweeping descent. By the way, when you see him whip down like this, you may think it's a very nice drop, but it's not. It's very undulating. There's some bumps in the road, and they're going to be buffeted on the way down. There's no rest on the way down. You keep hitting these bumps. It's not a well-made road at all, and that will reach. Here comes Ugumov with Zuller and Ellie, together with Bolts. Good ride by the Telecom rider. We've not seen many Telecom riders climbing the mountains, but Bolts is coming up there, and just behind him Munoz Fernandez, the Colombian for Kelme. over the top, and it's Ugrumov pedaling hard, so he's still trying to fight for his 10th his position in the top 10. Zuller over the line then Ellie. This is a nice, useful little pack. Lino off the back of that group, dropping down. I say you can see how the bikes are buffeting, and in places the tar is very sticky and very slippy too. They're on the way down, chasing after Pantani. Still, Polly is in the lead. Jersey of Zuller in this one, so they've regrouped here. That second place for Veronk, LeBlanc, Indurain or Lino or Conti or De Las Cuevas is no longer assured, because they've been caught up by a little group from behind, and that really has swelled the field. Pantani in there at the back, having had that little lone breakaway up the Ventoux, got himself swept up. He did get a lead of 1 minute, which is, I think, is significant as we move into the stage up the Alpe d'Huez. 1 kilometre left to go then for Polly, and really he can sit up and savour the moment as he heads down in towards the centre of Carpentras, where everybody's waited to greet it. Yep.
With the performance of the Festina team today, with Lino, Virenque and Leblanc, it will give them a much stronger hold now on the team classification, which they're actually leading at the moment, but they will be untouchable after this stage today, because they're their only team with 3 men at the front, and we all know it's the third man to count.
Well, the Festina riders have really given the French something to talk about, because we have in the top 4 overall no less than 3 riders from France. Veronk, De Las Cuevas, LeBlanc are in the top 4, and they're jumping around. And you're right, Conti's, Conti's also moved him.
Yeah. Pascalino and Conti.
A bit too early yet, though.
Well, behind, everybody was looking at each other. So here's
Whoa, rocketing away now. They're absolutely thundering down here. That looks like Ellie from GB.
Yeah.
Ellie's rocketed away and swept clear of that chasing group. He came down in the second of the bunch. The flashing lights of the lead car have gone through the finish now, and Polly is coming in to the finish. This man went away after 60 kilometres of the race have been covered. He's now done 171 kilometres on his own. That's nearly just over 100 miles of racing. He's done just over 100 miles on his own. He climbed Ventoux. He took the climb over Ventoux, the Hawk category climb. He's probably never done that in his life before. And a great success today for Eros Polly is to win stage 15 in the Tour de France.
A very good show also.
I'm sure he'll have to pinch himself to wake up to the fact that that lone break survived. So many of them have been caught, founded on the rock of the charge from behind that always happens in towards the end of a race. We saw Bjorn Rees the other day survive a breakaway group and just come in a few seconds ahead of the pack. Day after day, the lone breakaways have been swept up, and then just 1 or 2 surviving by the skin of their teeth. But Polly really took the race by the scruff of the neck when they were ambling along at around about 18-19 miles an hour. He shot off down the road, and despite the fact that they pulled back over 20 minutes of his lead on the circuit of the 50 miles that took them up Ventoux, they have not seen him since the 60-kilometre part, so they're now going to have to chase for second spot. Conti following Ellie. Any predictions, Stephen?
Well, I think Lino. Ellie is a good sprinter, all right, but I think Lino is possibly the faster of the 3 of them. I think 1 minute sign for 2 kilometres to go.
Well, it depends if they start playing cat and mouse, because Ellie looks back over his shoulders.
Ellie is fast, all right, maybe, but I still think Lino, if he does play his cards right, he might be able to pull her off.
Barank at the back then, and just in front of him, Pantani, who took off on the Ventoux, but could get no more than a minute's break. These 3 jumping around, managed to get away, and now getting in towards the final kilometre. See the big blown-up balloon of the Coca-Cola 1K sign. There it is down the road, and Lino is on the back. That's the Festina colours. Just up in front, the pink and the blue colours of the rider for Lampre, that's Conti. And in front there with the blue shorts, the big red blob on his back, is Ellie for GBMG. All working at the moment. Who's going to jump? That's it, 1K to go. Still all 3 working on the front. Still Conti. then Lino, then Ellie.
As it's the 1 kilometre to go now. It's they haven't actually. I would have thought they would have started doing a bit of cat and mouse, but for the moment they're not doing it. So
well, they did now because they'll come up to them, won't they? Because they haven't got much of a gap, not more than about.
No, they haven't got much of a gap.
Yeah, so they've got to keep working with it about 200 metres.
Yeah, behind now as well.
They can see them. So the top three, the three men chasing for second place, just at the far end of that boulevard, have got to keep rolling away here. They're coming in then to Carpentras to finish what has been a most fascinating stage.
But Ellie is in the best place there now for the second place of the stage. He's on the wheel of Pascalino. And Pascalino being a good sprinter, he would give Ellie a good lead out. So I'd say now, my first opinion was that Lino might win the sprint, whereas now with Ellie being in a better position, maybe it might be Ellie. Anyway, it'll be one of the three of them.
Well done, Stephen. No doubt about it. I'll take your tips on horse racing, but I won't put any money on them. Here we go then. On the left-hand side, Conti. In the middle is Pascalino. Right-hand side is Ellie. Ellie and Lino fighting it out. Conti's gone, but Ellie looks like he's got the edge. Ellie's got the edge now and takes second place. Ellie from Lino with Conti back in fourth spot. And in comes De Las Cuevas, then Veronk and the yellow jersey of Miguel Indurain. It looks like a team time trial almost here as De Las Cuevas belly himself on the front. None of these chaps would say they're sprinters really, but Veronk is going to have a bit of a dig here and comes across the line in fifth spot behind De Las Cuevas. And the French crowd here absolutely overjoyed with that because a number of Frenchmen packed into that top 8 places. There, a helicopter taking shots of Carpentras, the ancient capital of the Menonese region, but was at one time a Roman colony as well. Nice to look at the people do all the work. You at home get these pictures which are bounced around off the helicopters, apart from those that take the pictures as well then. So Eurosport in Carpentras, winner today of the stage. Tremendous performance as far as he's concerned. Breaking away after 60 kilometres. Coming across the line, he can hardly believe his good luck today. He's got the victory he's been looking for so long in his career. And he comes across the line about 4 minutes up on the yellow jersey of Miguel Indurain, who still has that jersey to going into the next stage tomorrow up the Alpe d'Huez. Brilliant ride there by Polly. And Carpentras now, the lot of riders still coming in to finish as the town settles down for the presentation of the awards.